Rest assured that we will get after this webinar. If you need to drop off during this webinar, also don't be afraid. You will get the full recording afterwards. So without any further ado, let me share my screen with all of you. So this is Whale. This is a knowledge sharing and training platform, and I'm going to basically, again, walk you through a little bit of the structure on the different tools that you can use to, first of all, already create those SOPs very, very fast. And then I'm going to get you acquainted with two of your new best friends within the platform. If you don't have a Whale workspace just yet, just navigate to our website and there you can sign up for a free trial, and then all of the features that I'm going to explain to you are all for your benefit as well. As you can hear, I'm not a native English speaker, so if I start to talk gibberish, if I go too fast, also here, don't hesitate to drop it into the chat, and I'm more than happy to re-explain what I've just explained. Let me set the scene a little bit first. So all of us within this call, you signed up for this webinar because we all have processes, but that also means that it's very hard to enforce those processes. We live into a day and age where 50 pagers, 100 pagers are not going to cut it anymore because people get simply straight up anxiety attacks if they have a simple question. What do they get in return? 100 pagers. In today's day and age where AI is on the full forefront, people expect to consume knowledge very quick, very easy, and they have it at their fingertips. But that also works the other way around. No one, or barely no one, is solely hired to create SOPs. Sometimes we make it part of our goals or of our KPIs that we need to hit during a quarter. Like we decide in a meeting, like, hey, this quarter I'm going to create 5 SOPs because we need to. What happens? The quarter goes on and on and on. You're busy with your day-to-day business. And then when the quarter, like now, is almost coming to a close, you're like, oh shit, I still need to create 5 SOPs. Now, what do? You create the 5, the most quickest one, but are those the most valuable ones? Of course not. So what I'm going to teach you in this case as well is the low effort, high impact methodology, because everyone has questions. We're going to get them into Whale in the easiest way possible. And then we're going to reinforce that knowledge in their time of need. So think about all of those questions that you get asked on a day-to-day basis, right? Because we basically convinced ourselves that it's easier to jump on a call, that it's easier to verbally explain a process to someone because it takes us 2 hours to create a process from scratch. Well, I'm going to invite you to just solely focus on that one single question, because that one single question is always part of a bigger procedure. We want to step away a little bit from that traditional way of thinking that we need to have everything documented all at once. No, we want to drive value where the value is the highest, and that highest value can be found within the question of the end user. No one is going to come to you and say like, hey, explain me everything of operations. Explain me everything that I need to know about like the different leave policies that we have. No, I have a question, a relationship. How do I ask sick leave? How do I create something in a tool that we're using? You're not going to explain entire tool manual. So keep that at the back of your mind. Everyone has a question at the back of their mind, and I'm going to use how do I create a task in Asana. But before I do that, I'm going to briefly explain the structure of Whale. First things first, we have 4 different levels in Whale. The highest level and the biggest level is board level. Board level, you can best compare with the main folder on your past structure. So think in terms of Google Drive or SharePoint. Everyone knows those folders that is basically labeled like a sales or an operations or general or an HR. So that is the biggest level that basically represents your core company departments. And within a core company department, let's take operations. We're going to come across the second level of Whale that is called library libraries, or in this case, sections. And the best analogy that I always give to my customers is the following. If take Whale out of the equation for a second, if I would ask you to go into a real library, like those dusty old buildings that still collect books. I know it's also been for me 15 years that I stepped into a real one. But if I ask you to step into a real library, you would see all of these different sections, right? You would see fiction, you would see nonfiction, you would see graphic novels, comic books, self-help books, and you navigate into a section and you pick up a book that you want to read. Well, in Whale, that is basically no different. If I would ask you, in this case, to go to the operations library, you would see different sections. Maybe you would see stuff with forklifts, safety training, tools, and so on. If you think about for people in finance that are joining in this webinar, what you would see, for example, if I would walk into the finance library is accounts payable, accounts receivable, invoicing, tax, all of that stuff. Same for HR, hiring, onboarding, offboarding, employee handbook. So if you visualize your core department as an actual tangible library, like what are the different sections that I would see? And that is the second level of Whale. And in those sections, you have your books. And your books represent your processes, like those big 50 pagers, those big 100 pages that no one loves to read anymore because we don't want to document just for the sake of it. We don't want to document to hit a quota. Like it doesn't mean that we have 200 SOPs documented that our business is now ready to scale. You want them to be followed by all. And how do you do that? To create them into easy to consume pieces of information. Well, I have the question in the back of my mind. How to create a task in Asana? Well, the Asana book, the Asana SOP, and Asana is a tool, so I can pick that book into the section of tools within the operations department. I can do a lot with Asana, right? I can create projects, I can create tasks, I can like everything, but I'm not going to simply focus on creating that, all of that right now. I received the question on how to do that, creating that task. And I will make sure that I simply focus on documenting that one. Well, I'm going to show you on how you can save a lot of time while using our AI capabilities. Well, we're going to create a page within that book, how to create a task within Asana. Well, you have a couple of ways of doing so. You click on create new and you can click on create new card. And then you basically, this is the editor that we all know and adore since Microsoft came to the forefront. And this is basically us starting from scratch. You can type it out. You can take the perfect screenshot. Is this going to save you any time? Of course not. I'm talking about the AI. Stino, where is the AI? Just simply wanted to show you that you can always start from scratch if you want to. Well, this is already our first AI feature. Basically, you can use our AI assistant to generate your cards for you. So for example, you take a prompt and then do the industry, and then you can generate an SOP from there. So for example, how to create a task in Asana. My workspace is based off a convenience store, the Food Line. The Food Line is a store that is based in the United States, but fun fact, its origins comes from Belgium. So that is why this is called the Food Line, the convenience store of food industry, and then generate card. Basically, everything that is publicly available on how to create a task in Asana, we're going to already provide you with the best structure possible on how to do that process. So basically, you can choose between high level or a very detailed process. Once that's done, you can create that card, change the verbiage to your liking, add a screenshot, and then press save, and you are done. Super easy. Didn't start from scratch. I have the perfect structure already at my fingertips. But what if I told you I can make it even way more faster? Because basically we're doing our job, right? What we normally do if we train people is the ancient old trick. Take a seat, sit next to me, and shadow me how I work. That is often on how we train our people or how we explain something, right? What if I told you that we have a feature in Whale that is basically allowing us to shadow you, and the result is then basically there where people can shadow on how you work. And that happens with the screen recorder. So if you click on create new, you can click on screen recorder, and then this tab is going to pop open. You can choose between a tab, a window, or your entire screen. If you work on an Edge browser, which is perfectly possible, the Chrome tab, of course, will state Edge tab. There are a couple of differences that I want to make bluntly and completely clear. If you start from a Chrome tab or an Edge tab and you select your tab, just know that only that tab is being recorded. So even if I navigate in between tabs, those tabs are not being recorded. So if by any means you already have a process that you know already up front that spans multiple tabs, then you're going to select a window. Within a window, you have the possibility to select your entire browser, and then we will capture your entire browser. But this is also the screen where you're able to select desktop applications. So for anyone in this call who has a lot of processes that run on desktop applications, you can do that here as well. So select a Teams, select an Excel, select basically anything from your desktop, and then you can record those processes as well. Or you can do your entire screen, because I do know that some of the processes run desktop, browser, and you need to dabble in between both. While basically drag and drop all of those windows onto one screen, select your screen, now work with minimizing button to pull up, pull down the screens, and we're able to capture it all. Chrome tab. I know that my process on how to create a task in Asana, that it only grabs one tab. So I'm navigating to one tab, I'm going to select the tab, and I'm going to press share. If I press on share, it's important to know that the recording is starting immediately. So please make sure that if you're ready to record, that everything is clean and that you know exactly what to do. Again, you're recording this process because you are the person that knows exactly on how that process runs. Otherwise, people are not coming at your desk or dropping into your Slack or into your Teams with that exact question. Another thing that I want to basically give as a tip and trick, if you're recording videos in Whale, please, for the love of God, create that video, that process in the exact amount of time that you know that you can create that process. What I've seen when teaching this to our current customer base as well is that people, when we're recording a video, we go extremely slow. And what does that mean? Because basically we're going to go into a process. We're hovering over a button 20 times, and then we're moving along, and then we're basically going very, very slow. But the thing is, in Whale, you have the result, and I will show you that in a second. The result is going to allow you basically to have the best of both worlds. People can slow down the speed of the video. We have, again, I will show you why. But again, record the video in the exact amount of time that you know that you can record it. So let's create a task in Asana. So I'm going to press add task, going to open it up. Let's say that I need to have a follow-up call with Walmart. And the description, follow-up call with Walmart for the delivery of tomatoes. And the due date is next week. There we go. The moment I'm done, because this is the task, I need to stop my share. The moment I stop my share, this slider in Whale is going to pop open. And then I need to give my process a certain name. How to create a task. This is in the Asana book. I press on next, and again, I'm done. If there is another process, if there is another question that I want to document, simply the same within Asana, I'm going to click on create new, screen recording, and do the exact same thing all over again with a new process. Maybe you have another question that you want to document into another book, exact same process. You're going to create your book, drop the screen recording, and you are done. What will happen? I said at the beginning of this webinar that you have two new best friends. The first best friend is Alice, and Alice is going to watch your video. And she's going to watch it from start to finish. She's also going to take screenshots from that video, because we're not only going to show you the video that you've recorded, we're going to make sure that you have also a completely written step-by-step guide with accompanying screenshots. So one, you no longer need to type it out. You also no longer need to take the perfect screenshot. You have basically, it took you 20 seconds to record a video. It takes you another 30 seconds for Alice to watch that video. And then you have the best of both worlds. You have a video and you have a completely written step-by-step guide with timestamps, with captions, and all of the shiny stuff. And this is the reason why I told you to record a process in the exact amount of time that it takes you to create or do or execute that process. The reason why, you can slow down the playback speed if you want. So if you are a little bit slower, you can always drop down the speed, and it goes extremely slow. But also people love to learn in various ways, right? Some people love to learn from a screen recording. Other people love to learn from a written step-by-step guide. Well, there you go. With the screenshots, with the timestamps that it takes you directly within the video. Of course, you have the possibility to record a video with or without audio. If you talk with audio, we're picking up that audio and we are going to create that within the written step-by-step guide. You have the possibility to edit the guide afterwards, of course, and then you can click on the image. If, for example, we put the cursor a little bit wrong, you can drag and drop it way up top, and then that one is fixed. If you want to blur information, because maybe some of this stuff shouldn't be visible, then you have the possibility to just manually blur what shouldn't be seen, save the image, save the guide, and you're done. Because this is how you create value. People didn't have a question on how to create a project. People didn't have a question on how, for example, mark a task as done, on how to change the due date, for example. It's just how to create a task. It took me 30 seconds to create that value for the team. And now it's in here. We shadowed on how you did your work, and how people, the entire company basically, can shadow you on how you did your work, what the standard is that you expect from your team. So 30 seconds and already have a first value point created. So screen recording, easiest way. Just also know, for your information, for people that missed the previous webinar, we also have a mobile application of Whale where you can also record processes, physical processes, directly from the mobile phone within Whale. And then it also is going to be able to break it down into written step-by-step guides with the screenshots as well. So with also physical videos, let me check if I have one. I did. So if, for example, this is a video that I took with my mobile phone on how to set up the coffee machine, the exact same thing. If everything is clear within the video, we're going to break that down into a written step-by-step guide for you. Now, we already have your first best friend, and I'm going to show you other stuff that your new best friend can do in a couple of minutes. But we created a process. We, of course, now want to make sure that that process is followed by all. How can I make sure that that process is reinforced in their time of need? How can I proactively share that information with my team? Because change management is a big thing. Whale, as a web-based app, is one thing. But if people, and that is something that I've seen because I just came back from a company tour in the United States where I visit our customers on site. If there is one thing that the end user sometimes forgets, is to have Whale open. Well, insert your second best friend. If you navigate to the Google Chrome store, so if I would navigate to the Chrome Web Store, and rest assured, if you work on Edge, Chrome extensions work on there as well. So simply navigate to the Chrome Web Store and locate the Whale Copilot. And this is your new best friend. If you install the Whale Copilot to your browser, this little blue whale is going to appear. Side note though, the moment that you install it, close your browser, reopen it, and then the following ribbon will appear, this little light bulb. The little light bulb will only appear, so the first time that you installed the Whale Copilot, you will maybe not see that little light bulb appear immediately. Quick fix, close your browser, reopen it, and the light bulb will appear. What does that light bulb mean? The little light bulb means that this is basically your Whale workspace. So as you can see here, we have that structure of general operations HR. Well, that little light bulb is basically your entire Whale workspace on every tab that you go. It's important that you know that the Copilot is only browser-based. So we don't have it on a mobile phone and we don't have it on desktop applications. It solely works within your browser. So that little light bulb is your Whale workspace where you can ask Alice questions, where you can navigate through your knowledge and basically do the task exactly where you need it to do. So that's already one thing. So I don't even have to have Whale open. I have the knowledge right at my fingertips. But how do I make sure I proactively reinforce that information? Well, we need to navigate back to the web-based app. So I created this process, and now I want to share and proactively share that information with the team. Well, I click on the pink share button and I go to suggest guide. When I click on suggest guide, that means that I'm going to suggest this exact process in the app where it needs to be. Well, how does that work? You basically go to the tool where you recorded that process and you're going to copy paste the URL on where you want that task, that exact process to be popping up. So I click up and I copy paste the URL, and you have two different ways of doing so. Or you're going for the exact URL. You can also take a part of your URL, like always go as broad as possible if by any means you know that this is changing, for example, this exact number. So for example, if you work with a billing software or a sales software, for example, customer IDs always change. So take it to a point where you know that it's not going to change, regardless if I go into different customers, for instance. That is also perfectly possible, and then just simply copy paste that Excel. If another use case that customers are using it for are, for example, email templates, right? And for Outlook or for Gmail, you don't have a very specific URL. It's just like outlook.com or mail.google.com. And then this keywords section is going to become very handy. And then it's going to work in combination. So if I am on mail.google.com or on outlook.com, and the page contains the word pricing, or the page contains the word onboarding or new customer, depending on how we scrape the website and which keywords are popping up, we can present them with different templates. So we have multiple ways, multiple use cases where we can pop up information in their time of need. So in this case, I copied the linked URL, I saved the suggestion, and we're good to go. So I'm going to close my extension. As you can see here, I didn't refresh my page after installing the suggestion. Nothing happens. If I refresh my page, you will see that my light bulb is switched on. I can now click open. Oh, what happened? Oh, it was with the URL. Now, see? I knew. That's the reason why you want to make sure that you have the correct URL installed, because while I clicked this down, you saw that red one disappearing. So that is the reason why it's so important to have the correct URL, that you know that that last thing is not going to change. So for this instance, for instance, this would have been wrong because only when this screen is open, the knowledge is popping up. But in this case, if it's correctly linked, of course, you will see your light bulb switching on. If I click now on my light bulb, you will see how to create a task is proactively being pushed forward. So I can use this process. I don't need to search for it. I don't even have to have Whale open. I can watch that process, watch the video, or watch the steps side by side, and I can directly work within my tool. Again, because that is something that we know. In the beginning, especially the end user is maybe not creating the habit directly, like, oh, I have a new tab open in a Whale and then search for the information in Whale. No, we're going to just meet them in the tools that they're working in. It's as easy as that because one, they can ask Alice questions. Two, we can push information and they don't need to dabble in between tabs, watch the video, go to the other tab, pause the video, look at to another screen. No, we're going to meet them where the value is the highest. Even though that you have a seasoned employee that is already 5 years with you, we're just suggesting that this is a process that you could use here. It's completely up to you if you want to open up that process or not. If you know how to do it, simply do the process. But we're here to just give you a simple suggestion of what you can use on this certain URL. Does that mean that you can only link one process? Well, of course not. You can link as many guides, as many processes as you want to the same URL. Just the number of the light bulb is going to change from 1 to 5 to 10 to 15, whatever processes that you have. And then again, you do the suggestion of what can be done on this certain page. And that is really good for reinforcement training because that's the thing as well. If we're training someone, that can be equally done via Whale, we grow our knowledge. But if we're not doing that process for quite some time, our knowledge is going to decrease. But with the Copilot, we're blocking that because we're making sure that we're reinforcing that knowledge in basically in every tool that they navigate. So that is already a really great use case. Another great use case that I've picked up on during my customer tour, and this is where Alice comes into play as well. For example, you have processes that you can record with AI. Great, link it with the suggestions, reinforcement. Circle is complete. But we have other use cases as well. For example, think about customer service. Think about customer service people, sales executives, and so on. The use case that I'm going to explain you is within sales executives. So we have a customer, for example, that is, again, that have their entire sales rebuttal playbooks within Whale. So that's something that you can't record. There are different scenarios that they've uploaded within Whale, right? But you can also now, with Alice, create a sales rebuttal playbook if you don't know where to start. So if I would ask Alice, like, hey, can you create a sales rebuttal card? Basically, Alice is also now here, so she can create a card process for you. Includes what all of the above. So basically, she's going to brainstorm with you to create that process together with you that you can store directly within Whale. The use case that I'm going to explain, so first of all, you can create knowledge directly via Alice, store it within Whale. But think about that sales rebuttal playbook. Think about all different scenarios for your frontline workers, for instance. You can all put those scenarios, objections, rebuttals within Whale, and then also have them within your Copilot. Because if I now confirm and I will put it into, didn't create a structure just yet, but I'm going to, just for the sake of it, just put it in here. This is a sales rebuttal playbook, right? So what they've done is put all of those scenarios within Whale, and whenever they had a customer call, for instance, they needed to log those calls down into a Salesforce, into Asana, into their CRM, right? So they don't often have Whale open. So what did they do? It put all of those playbooks, all of those scenarios within Whale, and now it was able to ask Alice those questions when they had a certain scenario. So, for example, they were on the phone, logging the call down within the tool that they're using, and they were simply asking, like, hey, the customer is asking why they should go with us. How do I refer them again to our reviews? Based on that rebuttal or those scenarios in Whale, Alice was able to pull up all that information directly in the Copilot and they worked side by side. This is how easy it is because if you are stressed, if you are in the moment, you don't always remember to have Whale open, go to your call log, go to Whale, chat with Alice, have that information. No, you just simply ask Alice that question the moment that you are having the need for it. So for example, let me check what we created because I'm not operation invoicing. Customer says the pricing is too high. What do I say when the customer says the pricing is too high? So for example, you are on a call, you have that conversation, you want to have instant support as well. Here you go. Under 10 seconds, you have that information. It picks it up from the source because you've put it into Whale. There is no need of navigating back and forth within Whale. No, you have the Copilot where you have instant support. I am in the tool. I can just log the call log and I have my entire sales rebuttal in on my right hand side. And this is how easy it is, right? Because we started this webinar as well by saying like, hey, you create your SOPs, you have your 100 pages, you have your 200 pages. But is that followed by all? You don't need to just like write your SOPs down for the sake of it to hit a quota. No, you're creating value based on everything that your team needs in the moment. You set a certain standard, right? So this is the standard. You record your screen. We're shadowing you. That is stored within Whale. Link it into the tools and reinforce that knowledge, but go way above and beyond with the Copilot as well. Put email templates in there and store them for your Outlook or for your Gmail and let keywords scrape your website and pop up the certain web like the templates that they need to use. But also even step further, go way above and beyond and do certain scenarios for your frontline workers or for like this checklist that they need to do, for instance, because Alice is here and can answer every question under 10 seconds for the Copilot in their time of need. Also via the mobile phone as well. So instead of like them searching endlessly for information, they simply just need to chat with Alice and they have their information under 10 seconds. So no longer starting from scratch, no longer working with 100 pages, with 150 pages. No, you just simply meet your team where there is a need for, and you will see question over question, your knowledge is growing. And you are documenting 100% of your knowledge every day. So this was a webinar on how you can make sure to make that your team is following your processes. By all, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A. Maybe I'm going to answer some of them live if there's still some open. But if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat. If not, please feel free to enjoy the rest of your day. It was my utmost pleasure to have you here with us. So let me check. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. No, thank you for all of the thank yous. Let me check if I can like find a question beneath this. Rashida, you had a question. I'm using Microsoft Edge. That is no problem. Chrome extensions also work on Microsoft Edge. So simply navigate to the Chrome Web Store and download the Copilot. Close your browser for a second, and then that light bulb will pop up. But all of our extensions work also on Edge. I'm assuming Alice can only see what the user logged in could manually see, so viewer write sensitive info, etc. isn't accidentally accessed via Alice. Is there a way to access explicitly block Alice for accessing any specific documents from anonymous. 100%. So Alice is only trained on what you have stored, one, within the platform, and two, to what you have access to. So you have permissions on two different levels in Will. So you can definitely like set some really good guardrails of who is seeing what within Will. So even if information is stored in Will, but I don't have access to it, Alice is not going to respond. She's always going to check what, first of all, what you have access to, and if that information is stored within Will, and then she's going to reply accordingly. So indeed, there is a link between Alice and permissions within Will. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for a great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. On average, what is the monthly cost of Whale? So we have for you, we have three different plans. So we have, let me check if I can move the Q&A away and then share my screen again. So we have three different plans. We have Teams plan, the Scale plan, and the Enterprise plan. The Teams plan starts with 10 users included, and this is more like focused on you documenting your processes. And that is $99 a month, but paid yearly. Now we have also the Scale plan that starts with 25 users, and they're like AI quizzes and training flows, all of that more analytical part, how your team is performing, and how to train your team is stored within that plan, and it starts at $299 a month, paid yearly as well. We also offer monthly plans, but those are a little bit more expensive. You can all of you start within a free trial. So if you want, you can start for free for 14 days, and then we will take care of you from that point in time. Thank you. Thank you. This was great. Thank you. I answered this question. Not a question, but I just wanted to say that it's refreshing to be in a webinar with the host that is. Oh, thank you, Kayla. I'm going to screenshot it. Thanks. Thanks. Are there different package levels? Yes. Like I just explained, we have a Teams plan that is more focused on like documenting, screen recording, building your knowledge out. Of course, Will is an entire ecosystem that starts with documenting, but then it goes into training, holding the team accountable, making sure that you have like tangible data to hold your team accountable, and that is then more based within the Scale plan. We also have an enterprise plan that has like the full buffet within our Whale capabilities. Thank you. If my suggestion is specific, like link to a client number for client-specific information, can I update and edit the Whale card from Copilot? No. So the Whale Copilot is read-only. You can't edit the content from the Whale Copilot. When it comes to like editing the content, you will still need to go to the web-based app of Whale, edit the card, edit the guide from that point in time. But it's good feedback though. So I'm going to log that down and share that with the team. But for now, like editing solely happens within the web-based application of Whale and not via the Copilot. Using AI in Whale Copilot is pulling all search requests from what is currently created in Whale. Yeah, so it is taking everything that is currently created in Whale and that you have access to. Are there any insights to see what is searched for while using Whale Copilot to show what people are needing that possibly isn't created yet? So you have two different ways of searching, of course, Kyle. You have the traditional search that you have within Whale via the magnifying glass, and that search that is also linked to the Copilot. And that search is something that you can see within the analytics. So if you navigate to the analytics and you go to searches or you go to views, then you have an overview of what your most popular playbooks are, what your most popular searches are. So that gives you already a hunch. When it comes to via the AI assistant, in all transparency, that is data that you don't have access to, but I do have access to. So by any means, if you're a customer, you have a customer success manager. That customer success manager can provide that data to you on a monthly basis. So, Kyle, I know that we're linked up. So, if you want to have that data, please shoot me an email and I'm more than happy to send that information your way. That is feedback that we've already heard. It is on the feedback wall of our product team. So, it's on our radar. If that ever gets released, you will hear it directly from us. But in the meantime, we have access to that data. If you want it, shoot an email to your customer success manager, and then we got you. I'm trying to use the Wix. I want to teach the various screens I used to achieve. I don't know if that's necessarily a question, Anonymous, with the Wix question, but if you want to like record on how to do different tasks in Wix, perfect combination. Record your screen, drop it into the structure of Whale, and then you have the screen recordings and then link it to the specific suggested via the specific URLs. And then the Copilot is going to reinforce your entire team. Hi, I was only able to join later, so maybe I missed it. My question is, this will process recording include the original video recording used to create the SOP documentation? This is the pain point we have with our current solution, which only logs the process but does not show the recording thereof. Yes, we do. Marcus, thank you for joining the webinar. So basically, I'm going to go to the process that we have created. So Marcus, for you, how to create a task was a video that I recorded. So you will have the best of both worlds. You will have the video and you will have a written step-by-step guide with the screenshots. So again, people love to learn from a video. Other people love to learn from a written step-by-step guide. So in that case, you have the best of both worlds. Let me see if I can share my screen but still have the Q&A popping up. I don't. So sorry for still switching between. Phil, you are most welcome. Arlie, welcome. Do I have to have Asana to use Whale? No, of course not. Asana was the example that I used. You can use it for any web-based tool that you want to have, Tegan. If I want to replace the Whale logo with my company logos during the SOPs, is that possible? Well, you have indeed, well, no, it's a dual answer. So this whale icon is not necessarily something that you can get rid of, because of course, it is whale still, but we do believe in heavy branding. So change management is big and happening, especially in a landscape where you use a lot of tools. In the workspace settings, and only administrator can do this, upload your company logo, and you can also change your entire branding, like upload your primary color, change the editor, change the dashboard header, which is basically this little guy here. You can personalize Alice completely to your liking. You can completely change on how you export your PDFs as well. So 100% you can use a lot of colors, a lot of branding capabilities within Whale, but this little guy is never going away because we want to make sure that you never forget how easy it is and who helps you getting there. But you have a lot of great branding capabilities as well. Dennis, it was my utmost pleasure. Lindsay, have a great day. Danny, just my input, but this tool has been super helpful and beneficial to our team and organization. We're still in the progress of getting more colleagues on board, but it has been effective and the feedback from our colleagues has been great. Danny, big love from Belgium. I know that your guys are switching to a new CRM tool, so I just know that it all will work out. So suggestions and screen recording is the way to go. Kyle, my pleasure. Enjoy the food in New Orleans, and I hope to talk to you soon. Anonymous, if Whale goes, sorry, my phone dropped to my cat and I had a little heart attack. If Whale goes out of business, if what we created is safe and retrievable. Of course, you have access. We never throw anything away in Whale. So even if you accidentally delete it, you always have a way to retrieve it. And we store everything. So to that extent, and also, let's be positive. Whale is not going out of business anytime soon. I understand the question, but you can always ask us to export what you currently have, even while you are a customer. But that is not on our radar today. I understand the sentiment, but let's be positive. Spring has sprung. Will is not going out of business, and we don't delete anything entirely. So just ask us, and we can give you a full export. Rolf, is there a way to crop out screenshots in the editor? I haven't found it yet. Cropping out is not yet a capability within the image editor. Um, but good question, though. I will link that up as feedback. And if that happens, keep an eye out for our product emails. Marcus, I got you. Have a very great day. Let me check if there are any other questions. You are most welcome. Another question. Oh yeah, Kayla, I know. I'm going to leave that one there. Thank you, Danny. And then, is there a way done? Are there any other questions? No. Well, if by any means you have any more questions, I'm here. 3 more minutes. If not, please feel free to enjoy the rest of your day. And I hope to see you in a future webinar. Refuel on a coffee. I always feel like a little bit on QVC, right? Like people of the United States can totally relate to what I'm saying. It's like talking to a void, but I feel the energy. I feel the energy. This is recorded, so you can always watch it again. Normally, the recording is going to be sent off to you after I close this one down. Nancy, you are welcome. Natalia, you are also very welcome. Enjoy your day. Rolf, if you could add the screen cropping, that would be wonderful. That's my only gap so far. I got you. I've logged it down as feedback. And again, if you have Olivia, I think it is linked to Rolf's question. If not, please elaborate to which question it was. Rolf, I've added it to our feedback. It is up to our product team to visualize that. It's always a game of checks and balance if that is going to bring added value to our entire customer base. So if that happens, keep an eye out for our product. But I've written your name down. So if I hear some whispers in the hallways, I got you. Carl, you are welcome. Is there a good email contact if we need to technical support or have any questions? Chloe, we do. If you are within the Whale platform, you have Alice is solely for everything that you have stored within the Whale app. Here you have a possibility to chat with us, to go on a hunt within our knowledge base, and then we're here every step of the way. So if you have a question, if you want to know something, we have our support team has your back. So important side note, Alice can help you with structuring things within Whale, can help you creating stuff within Whale, finding answers within Whale. But if it's more like technical related in Whale, our support team is here for you. Israel, what about to upload videos or link from outside? Is that possible? Of course. If you have already existing videos or documents, simply click on the upload button, upload a video, and then the end result will be the exact same, only for uploaded videos. So if you link a video, that will not have the same result, but you have all of these fancy tools that allow you to download YouTube videos and then just upload them, and then the format will be the exact same. But just remember, everything needs to be concise and consistent within Whale. So don't try to upload one hour videos because then you're going back to the old ways of having that 100 pager, of course, and we don't want to have that. So easy, concise, consistent, but it works also with external videos. Thank you, Chloe. Have an amazing weekend yourself. Thanks, Coach. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Israel. We do have an awesome tool. Awesome. So I'm going to wrap it up because I also see the number of attendees dropping. Again, guys, thank you so much for being with me this morning. I had the best time being with all of you. If by any means you have any questions, please let me know and I will answer them after this webinar. Have an amazing day, guys, and talk soon. Bye-bye.